Hi everyone and welcome back to the Crafty Yellow Camper. And today I wanted to use the Picturesque stamp set. Now for some reason this spoke to me in the catalogue. I think it's because it's sort of bold shapes and sort of scenery shapes. And I could think of a few ideas of things to do with it. But when I actually got it out and started playing with it, I wasn't exactly sure how to put it together. Because there are bits that I'm not entirely sure where they go. So this video could end up being a hot mess. It could end up working, but I thought, well, why not have a play with it in the company of my lovely viewers. So I've got an idea. This may work, this may not. Now you can see here I've just been stamping some of the bits in different colours just to see where we go from here. And yeah, let's give this a go. This might become quite time consuming because my idea involves some embossing, but there's nothing like crafting on the fly with your YouTube followers, is there? Okay, luckily I don't have that many of you yet, so hopefully I won't bore anybody to death. Okay, so I'm just going to grab my clear embossing powder, so I've got that to hand. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with a piece of basic white. The idea I had was to build a scene with these stamps, and that's what we're going to aim to do. So I'm going to start with this stamp, which is this one here. Now I'm guessing that that is the sky with some clouds and the tops of some trees. So let's give it a go. So I was going to go in with a darker blue, but I've decided to do, actually, no, I've just changed my mind. I am, sorry, indecisive today. Okay, I'm going to come in with Orchid Oasis. I'm going to ink this up. Now, because these are photopolymer, I'm going to put a stamp mat under my piece of cardstock. Okay. Now, the other thing that's bugging me is that they are narrower than a standard card front, but I'm going to go for the middle and ink in the edges, I think. So we'll see how that goes. Or I could... No, let's go to the edge. So that's the first stamp, and then we'll re-ink it. Now this is likely to get very messy. I'll just go across that bit there. No, see, I don't like that. We've got a line. Right, let's turn over. I think the Americans call that a do-over, don't they? Right, we'll stick to the middle and I'll ink round the edge. Okay, so we're going to pop that one there. Now, sometimes with new photopolymer, they don't stamp very well. That's actually not done too bad. They sometimes need to be what's called conditioned. And I told you this was going to end up messy, but we'll get rid of that with some inking. Right, so that's my blue for now. And then the next one that I was going to bring in is this one here, which I guess is the silhouette of ground and trees. So that made sense to me to do that at the bottom. And I'm going to bring in some shaded spruce for that. And this is where it gets tricky because I'm going to have to try and line it up with the top, aren't I? Didn't really think this through terribly well, did I? Anyway, we'll give it a go. Okay, I think that looks about right there. And that actually gives us a bit more room in the middle for the filling in stuff. So we're going to pop that one there. And then we've got this one here, which I'm guessing that's trees. So that's sort of going to go in the middle, I think. And then we've got this one here, which is sort of bushes. And these nice little birds here. Now, I've just realised, I don't know if you can see that, I've just realised that my stamp, because it's photopolymer, my stamp's not on square, look. It goes along there and it goes off to that corner a little bit. But again, we can get rid of that with some inking. Okay, so let's have a little look at these tree things. And I'm guessing they're that way up, because that's the way they are up on the stamp case. So I'm going to stamp them off and then sort of fill in There. Again, I'm making a real hash of getting ink everywhere, but we are going to go over with some inking, and then I just wonder if we could get away with another one. There, so this is now 3rd generation. So we've got full ink, 2nd generation, 3rd generation. And then if we bring this one in that looks like bushes, stamp that down there, see what that looks like. Yeah, it's sort of a fill-in. I'm not convinced actually that that doesn't really go in there. I wonder if we can put that in to join the edges up. Let's try that. I'll blend all these edges in a minute. Just trying to join my sky to my trees. Okay, right, that's that. Now I need to clean these stamps off, so I'm just going to grab my chamois. Just move that out of the way a little bit. And you'll see why in a second. So that's that one clean. And we need, actually we don't need that one, we need that one, and we need that one. Oh my goodness me, I did a really bad job at getting ink on that, didn't I? Sometimes you just need to, I keep this thinner chamois. This is a Stampin' Up chamois and they're brilliant, but I already had this thinner one, and these are sometimes a little bit more useful for getting into the niggly bits. I am going to clean this one off in case I decide to use it, but I think I'm probably not. Okay, so what we're going to do next. Okay, I'm going to come, actually we'll leave the seagulls to last. Right, I'm going to come back in with these, but this time with Versamark. So I'm going to, oh, actually I was going to straighten that up, but I don't want to straighten that up because otherwise it won't cover the stamp where it was. So because they're photopolymer, you can obviously see through them to line them up. So I'm going to stamp that again with some Versamark, and then oh, I forgot to use my embossing buddy every time I use it on the sky. And then what I'm going to do is come in with some clear embossing powder. Just knock that off there. And then we'll heat that, and that should seal that shade of spruce ink in. Please excuse me while I heat this. There might be a little bit of noise. There will be a bit of noise. Hopefully you can hear me talking to you over the noise of the heat gun. And this is a good way of doing a resist technique. So you can see at the embossing powder, even though it's clear and we're putting it over a coloured ink, you can see it melting because it's making the ink look darker. There, that shade of spruce, you can see that now looks a lot darker and it's got a bit of a sheen to it. So we're going to do the same thing again, but with the stamp that we used for the sky. Okay, and again we need to line it up. It's not that easy without getting my head in the camera. I think that looks about right. Oh, you can hear it peel off. And again, even after me saying I forgot to use the embossing buddy, didn't I? Never mind. Okay. I'll put some powder over this. Oops. Knock off the excess. And then transfer it back into the pot. Put our lid on. Okay, and I'm just going to heat this section, and you can see that blue has sort of almost got a frosted effect with that powder on, because even though it heats clear, it's white in appearance until it's heated. So I'll heat part of it and then I'll show you so you can see. So I've heated this section here. You can see it's got a shimmer and it's gone much darker. So let's carry on, heat the rest of that. Okay, now what that should have done is sealed in that ink for us, and I've just realised that is really on the wonk. It's going to go in that way. Okay, we might have to trim this down, but anyway. Yeah, so what that's done is that's sealed in the ink for us behind there, which means that when we now ink over it, that ink won't change colour, even though we're going to ink over the top with other colours. So I'm just going to grab a couple of blending brushes. Right, I've already got one on my desk, on the floor actually, that's got some Mango Melody over it. Now the idea I had for this is that my son-in-law likes to run, and he quite often goes at dawn, much to my daughter's disgust. So what I wanted to do was ink over this and make it sort of look like the sun just coming up. So actually, I think we need to do that. I'm going to grab... There's not a sun in this one. Yeah, no, I've changed my mind again. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink over this. And this is with some Mango Melody, just to give that sort of morning sunset. No, it's not Mango Melody at all. It's Melon Mambo, to give that sort of pinky morning sky effect. And I'm going around the edges as well, just to take off the edges of that. We might have to put a frame on this to make it look not as wide, or I can cut it down. Okay, so that's that. And then I'm going to bring in some Mango Melody. And it's not just sunsets that have this kind of colour, morning skies do too. So I'm going to bring that in, and we're going to go over the rest of it. And I'm doing a sort of an ombre effect, and it's lighter as we get to the bottom. Okay, and then what I'll do, I'll come in with some of the shaded spruce just round the bottom, so we lose some of that white round the bottom, but I think I'm going to end up having to cut this down. Widthwise. I'm a bit perturbed by that bush in the middle, because that doesn't really do much, does it? Okay, all right, that's that. Let's get those out of the way. Right, now what should happen is, if we buff off the colour, I just need to get a piece of kitchen roll. Don't do this with anything that's wet. We buff this off, the ink where we've sealed it, any of that ink will come off and leave us with the proper colour. And you can see, look, there's some green ink on there. Right, okay, so let's try and turn this into a card. So the first thing I'm going to do, we're going to need a runner. Let's just grab the runner. So this is the runner out of the Greatest Journey dies, and he's going to be running down there. So I'm just going to cut him out of a piece of Starry Sky. And because these are silhouette dies, you can turn him over if you want him facing the other way. Is. All our runner running past the shrubs. Actually, I think that looks better now we've got him running along a bit. Yeah, there we go. He's going to go along there. Right, so let's get a base card. Now, we've used Starry Sky. No, we haven't. We've used Orchid Oasis and we've used Shaded Spruce and then some other colours to make the sunset. So I think we'll go for, if I can find it in my drawers, some Shaded Spruce. Yep, there we go. Some Shaded Spruce cardstock. Piece conveniently cut. I'm not one of these organised crafters that has boxes of pre-cut card bases. Okay, so this is half of a A4 sheet, and I'm just going to fold that in half. I'll just burnish that fold. Okay, and then so that's going to go on there, and then where have I flicked our runner? There he is. He's going to be running along there, but I don't like that edge, so I'm going to trim that down, and we'll put another piece of coordinating cardstock underneath there, I think. So I'm just going to trim this edge down, so just take most of it off. Just going to leave a little bit on there, but I think it's there's too much. I just want a tiny little bit left on there. Oh, it didn't cut properly. Oh, come on, let's try that again. That's better. Okay, so we've cut that down, and then I think what we'll do is we'll have a piece of Orchid Oasis underneath it. So let me just grab a piece of Orchid Oasis. So that's half a sheet, so I need to take that down a bit. Let's get the runner off our trimmer. Don't want him escaping, do we? Okay, my desk is really in a mess now. Okay, so that card is 10.5 by 14.8. So we're going to go 14.3 by 10. And to be honest, these aren't colours that I would normally put together, but I'm hoping it's going to look all right. We might just have to trim down that panel we've just stamped a tiny bit more, but we'll see. So we've got that layer on there, on the Shaded Spruce, and then we've got that layer on there, and as I thought, we're just going to have to trim it a tiny bit. So do we take Sky off, or do we take Trees off? Instinct is to take the sky, but I don't really want to lose those clouds. Okay, let's just see if we can trim it right down so we don't necessarily lose the stamping, but get it to the size we want. We want 14 point, no, we don't want 13.8. Let's sliver off that end. Okay, so basically I've gone down on each layer in increments of 0.5 centimetre. I don't actually know that I like that green base. No, I don't like that green base, so I'm going to put that to one side and grab a piece of Starry Sky to match our runner. I think that's what's offended me, that base. Okay, so just going to cut this at 14.8. That's it. If you could see the state of my floor in my craft room, you'd be laughing your heads off. This stuff, when I craft, I tend to just chuck stuff out of the way and then tidy it up when I'm finished. Or sometimes I don't. I've actually got a card class on Saturday, tomorrow. It's Friday here in the UK. And I haven't put away the stuff from last month's class yet, which was, in my defence, only a couple of weeks ago. Right, I think that's better. Yeah, so we've got the Starry Sky for the base, and then we've got a piece of Orchid Oasis to match some of our inks, And then we've got our panel there like that. And then we've got our runner running along there. Yeah, I'm much happier with that. So let's get some of this mounted. So I'm going to put this one on first. So the card is 14.8 by 10.5. So this first layer is 10 by 14.3. And then I've cut our panel down. It's a little bit narrower because I wanted to get rid of some of that white on the edge. But I've cut our panel down to 13.8 in length. And it probably it should have been 9.5 wide. It's a little bit narrow, but we can live with that. Right, now I'm just going to grab this twine. So these are the twines that come with the Greatest Journey, or Greatest Adventure, whatever it's called. I can't remember what it is called now. Picturesque, Greatest Journey, I think. Yeah, Greatest Journey. These are the twines that come with them. I'm just wondering, this is the Coastal Cabana one. Just wondering what bit of that tied round it will look like. Where's my runner? No, it's the wrong colour. This is Garden Green. Yeah, I don't think it needs it actually. I feel like I've let the side down if I haven't added some bling or something like that. But I think actually in this case, we'll be ribbon and blingless. I think because we've got detail going down the whole page, to try and add some twine in might not work. Although I suppose I could have gone down the edge with it. Yeah, we could still go down the edge with it actually. Although I should have done that around that matte layer. Anyway, for now we'll just have our runner. So as I said, these are the dies cut the silhouette, so that is the right way round, but you could get away with turning him around the other way if you want him to run the other way. Okay, so I don't think I'm going to raise him up. I think we are going to just stick him on. Let's put a little bit of glue on, but we don't want too much because I don't want to squidge it out. Let's flip him over and we're going to have him running along there. So as I said, my son-in-law likes to go for a run. He quite often goes early in the morning when the sun's just coming up, and he likes to run along a creek near where we live. So there's quite a lot of nature. So I've got to be honest, I wasn't actually very impressed with that card, but I think it looks better now we've got our runner on there, and now we've changed the base colour and layered him up. Yeah, I think that's something that I'm going to have another play with. I think the emboss resist technique works really well over those stamps because it adds a little bit of shine, which I think is enough for a man's card. It just gives that little bit of detail. As I said, if I made it again, I think I would run some twine down this edge here, but I've already stuck it down. Although I could, actually, we could do it that way. Yeah, let's do it that way. Let's do it that way. I just feel like I've not finished it off properly otherwise. Okay, so because this is for my son-in-law for his birthday. So because it's a man's card, we don't want a bow really. I want a knot. And I'm rubbish at tying them. I need a third hand. There we go. There. That's that. I'll just move that over. So that sort of takes away a little bit from that edge of the stamps, which I quite like. And I'll just trim those down. And I'm going to do what I did on a previous video. I'm just going to bring in my pokey tool, if I can find it, amongst the debris on my desk. Ah, there it is. And I'm just going to fray the edges of this twine out. You just be careful not to scrape at the card if you can unwind it with your fingers, then all well and good, but I'm not so good at that. Oh, actually, maybe let's start it off like that. There we go. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I'll hold it up in a minute so you can see. So I'm just using the pokey tool end of my Take Your Pick tool just to fray out those edges a little bit. So I'm just unwinding it to start with, and then going in with my Take Your Pick tool just to fray that out a little bit. There we go. So it's just frayed it out a little bit. Oh, hang on, this end needs a bit more, I think. There we go. So Runner at Dawn, we'll call that one. And yeah, I think I need to have a little bit more of a play with those stamps. I still like them, and I still think they're really nice and with lots and lots of possibilities, but I'm just not entirely sure that they actually go together very well. But as I said, I'll have a play. I think maybe these ones along the side here could have done with going across. But anyway, quite happy with that for now. And yeah, okay, there's my card. So if when I have a play with those stamps again and I make something else, then I'll post it up on my Facebook page, which is also under the Crafty Yellow Camper, or on my Instagram page, which is also the Crafty Yellow Camper. So right, thanks for bearing with me and watching, and I will see you all again soon. Happy stamping. Bye for now.